How's it going, everybody? Hope we're all having a good Thursday. Welcome to the time of the Pharaoh. In whispers we govern, through the elements we obscure. We got Jupiter trine node. With this, we have the law of attraction coming into play, where you are likely to attract supportive and influential friends and associates who aid in your growth and success. We can link this aspect to valence bond theory within electron pairing, which states the single unpaired electron from each overlapping orbital pairs up, creating a shared electron pair between the two atoms, backtracking to the law of sustainability through hybridization, which is where atomic orbitals on a central atom can combine to form a new hybrid orbital, which is better suited for bonding, for instances on sp, sp2, and sp3 hybridization. It's also used to describe the arrangement of electron density around a central atom and explains bond angles. Now, with that said, we can apply this concept to everyday life, partnerships, relationships, special operations, special projects, and ways of being as to detect, deter, create, implement, and progress. With Jupiter trine Lilith, we've got overcoming inner darkness, embracing intuition and creativity, rebellion and freedom, potential for spiritual growth, and challenges and integration. With the node, we could theorize certain energies being returned to sender, while Lilith amplifies our natural power through rebellion within valence bond theory, whereas a strength would lie in being effective in predicting and explaining the geometries of, we'll say, molecules as a simplistic term to be polite and useful, whereas useful insight in understanding the stereochemical outcome of certain reactions can be applied. But we also have the Fu, or the uncertainty principle, coming in within the limitations with explaining the magnetic properties of molecules, particularly paramagnetism, while oversimplifying complex bonding situations, particularly in transition metal compounds, providing a valuable framework for understanding many aspects of, well, we'll just stick with chemistry without overcomplicating the euphemism. With Saturn opposition Mars, this can manifest as creative blocks and a need for discipline, but in detriment, not detriment, D-E-T, not D-E-N-T, can manifest as creative breakthroughs, disciplined creativity, stronger relationships, and a personal transformation. With this, we can use George Ohm's fundamental laws of electricity, which describes the relationship between voltage, current, and resistance. Now, a lot of these things I apply as analogies for life, states of being, well-being, progress, personal growth, insight, if you will, apply to euphemism where applicable. Anyways, voltage, current, and resistance, which is V equals IR, where resistance impedes the flow of energy by opposing the motion of electrons. Like charge repels, which cause the electrons to be pushed through a wire, and the force is the voltage. Resistance opposes this flow of charge, and the higher the resistance, the more the flow of energy is hindered. Again, apply where applicable. These things directly correlate to a lot of real-life situations, scenarios, karmic lessons, and just overlooked core meanings of things. With Uranus trine Mars, this aspect can manifest as a sudden desire for a more open and unconventional relationship, a willingness to explore new financial opportunities, or a breakthrough in understanding one's own emotional patterns. It could also indicate a fascination with the occult, psychology, or other fields that delve into the hidden aspects of reality. Individuals with this aspect may be drawn to unconventional approaches to intimacy, sexuality, financial matters. They may also be unafraid to challenge societal norms and create their own path in these areas. This placement can also indicate a strong desire to understand the deeper mysteries of life and a willingness to confront their own shadow self, according to some astrologers. With Mars trine Uranus, this is a signature that supports us in getting things done in a way that is both focused and disciplined. We have Chiron energy popping out with Chiron squaring the moon, which is a psychological and evolutionary view. The core wound highlighted title. With Chiron square to Moon aspect, it often points to a core wound related to emotional security, nurturing, and a sense of belonging. This wound can manifest as feeling like an outsider, hypersensitivity, fear of emotional intimacy, and difficulty expressing the self, which can in turn lead to difficulties in personal relationships, self-care, and finding emotional support, whereas one could be cut off from surrounding elements, or I use the term vector. Figure it out if it applies. Individuals with this aspect may experience emotions with greater intensity, making them particularly sensitive to rejection, criticism, and or situations that triggers feelings of inadequacy. With Lilith squared to Sun, we have understanding, again, the power play and dominance. With Lilith, this often manifests in individuals who are fiercely determined and outspoken about societal injustices, serving as a catalyst for change. Again, some things are inevitable. Do or don't. I'm hearing sirens going off. That might be an omen. Do or don't. Lilith is associated with rebellion and nonconformity, so this aspect may drive you to challenge norms and boundaries in various aspects of your life. You may feel a strong urge to explore unconventional paths and break free from societal expectations. This is indicative in people with strong leadership abilities, natural heirs to be in charge, I guess would be a simplistic term. This placement can also bring awareness to your shadow aspects, which, when consciously integrated, can lead to greater self-awareness and personal growth. Intrapersonal intelligence is the underlying goal. With Pluto square Chiron, we have embracing transformation and healing. Facing mortality as a core concept here, Chiron's connection to the wounds and the healing can also bring up themes of death and mortality, encouraging individuals to come to terms with their own finite nature. Now, not everybody is linear in the sense to being finitely limited. Some beings are non-linear in an immortalistic sense of being, where one can be on a continuum forward, almost as if we're changing. I guess an analogy would be like switching bodies and continuing missions, life after life after life, decade after decade, eon after eon, to obscure that which needs to be obscured, while abstracting focal points to ensure continuity in evolution, organic life, and being overall. This is a direct path to healing, and it's leading to the ability to trust again. With Pluto square and Chiron, this is a great time for transforming bitterness to a more conducive to progress state of mind, linking new neural pathways to replace the old of the painful and the tragic. So if you want to change your mind, and again, I'm not one of those people that it's all love and light, positive vibes only. Those people are so unbalanced and delusional and detached from the physical being and duality itself and a concept intrinsic to its core. You need to comprehend and understand the negative, or you're not going to understand or appreciate the positive in any aspect. We have acknowledging and integrating one's shadow self is crucial for healing, as it leads to a state of being whereas we can transmute our vulnerabilities from weakness to unique strengths, thus catalyzing self-love, personal growth, and leading us directly to a more parallel path with the divine, eliminating chains of ancestral curses and past karmas. We have a unique placement today with Mars in Libra, which seeks equilibrium in all things, especially in relationships. This transit can highlight areas where there is imbalance and inspire efforts to restore harmony. We can be drawn to supporting those who are perceived as underdogs, wanting to ensure everyone has a fair chance, or transcendence popped in with that. Inevitable. Again, inevitabilities are welcoming or resisted. My preferred term for this underdog terminology is the dark horse. I myself am a dark horse. This placement allows us to prioritize collaboration, address imbalances, communicate with diplomacy, and embrace beauty and aesthetics, and being mindful of indecisiveness. That is imperative. We got Jupiter in Pisces, creating a state of spiritual growth, increased intuition, and creative expression, heightened sensitivity, and desire for meaning and purpose. But this can also lead to overindulgence and escapism. We have some numbers here today with Jupiter 48. This is encouraging you to embrace your passion and drive, trust in your abilities, and continue working towards your goals, as your efforts will lead to positive results. It suggests that you are on the right path and that your dedication will be rewarded with prosperity and fulfillment according to some spiritual interpretations. We have Jupiter 318 as a triangle number coming out, but in my head it didn't make sense as an angel number. So it was interpreted as Psalms 3, 1 through 8, which describes King David's lament and faith during a time of great distress. Specifically, when he fled from his son, Absalom, he acknowledges the multitude of enemies rising against him and those who doubt God's help. Yet he expresses unwavering trust in God as his protector and sustainer. The passage culminates in David's plea for God's salvation and recognition of God's power to defeat his enemies. I've got number 313 coming out, which it's important to make wise financial decisions and not let the promise of wealth distract you from your goals. So, say that we know that a large sum's coming our way. 313 is emphasizing the need to sustain, maintain prioritization of the bigger picture aspect and not let the wealth distract us or get overexcited and, basically fuck off. Stay balanced, stay grounded. That is going to be essential, especially when coming into wealth, like tangible wealth, because some people can be impulsive and, immediately want to quit the job, walk away from responsibilities, and just think that that's the end all, that's the solution for everything. It is not that. That is an assistance and a crutch, but it is not the absolute problem solution. It's not the overall adjustment to certain situations. You yourself need to go head on with things and ensure endings come to fruition. We've got Chiron with 98 popping out while I remain the one. Psalms 9:8 states, "He will judge the world in righteousness. He will govern the people with equity." This verse emphasizes God's role as a just and fair judge over all of humanity, ruling with uprightness and impartiality. We've got lunar numbers of Hyena and Nyx popping out, 84, coming through as Psalms 8, verse 4. In various translations, asks a question of wonder and humility. Hyena is saying, "What is mankind that you are mindful of them? Human beings that you care for them." It reflects on the vastness of creation and seemingly small place of human beings within it, yet God's attention to and care for humanity. We got Nyx coming out in forms of a mathematical property. 84 is the 7th tetrahedral number, meaning it can be represented as the sum of the first 7 triangular numbers. And it also has 12 divisors. 12 also correlates with the number of Lilith. Lilith is the 12th placement in astrological aspects. So Lilith coming through with Nyx in tetrahedral aspects, which translates to creation and manifestation. The tetrahedron, as a three-dimensional triangle, is a fundamental shape in sacred geometry, often associated with creation and the unfolding of potential. It represents the journey from a single point, the apex, I, to a stable, grounded foundation, the base, your pillars of being, symbolizing the process of spiritual growth and the manifestation of potential, the external reflecting the internal. We have interconnectedness, the tetrahedral numbers formed by stacking triangular layers. Everything's acrostic and allegorical. Highlight the interconnectedness of all things, just as each sphere in the tetrahedron contributes to the overall structure. Each individual plays a role in a larger tapestry of existence. The bee is the perfect hive-like mind for this analogy in this tetrahedral aspect. We have other spiritual associations with 84 being linked to 64, which is human genetics DNA. The 64 star tetrahedron is also linked to the 64 codons in human DNA. The 64 manifestations of Shiva in Hinduism and the 64 squares on the chessboard, suggesting a deep connection between the physical and the spiritual realms. The tetrahedron at its core is the symbol of the designer, which is the basis of Genesis. We've got Pluto 216, which is associated with development and accomplishment. This number is encouraging you to trust yourself, keep working hard, and communicating to us to maintain faith and trust in our inner wisdom. We got Lilith popping out with 58. Again, some numbers don't always make sense to me to be just an angel number. So for Lilith, this is a direct omen and warning, because Lilith is pissed. I don't know who is not embodying their divine feminine energy, but Lilith is mad. Her warning is coming through in Psalms 5 verse 8, reading, "Lead me, O Lord, in your righteousness because of my enemies. Make your way straight before me." This verse expresses a plea for the divine guidance and protection amidst opposition. The psalmist recognizes God's righteousness as the foundation for their request, seeking a clear path amidst enemies who seek to undermine them. With the ending of this video under the illumination of Ra, 36. Number 36 seeks to avoid this, preventing tribes from becoming disfranchised, which is Psalms, it is a biblical thing. Biblical revelation of Ra, I should say, illuminating something, and it was translated to 36 seeks to avoid this, preventing tribes from becoming disfranchised by stipulating that every daughter who possesses an inheritance shall marry one from the clan of her father's tribe, so that all Israelites may continue to possess their ancestral inheritance. Emphasizing to believe his prophets. This is a need for revival and reformation. That's all I have for you guys today. Hope you found it entertaining. I'll see you in the next one.